Hey guys, and welcome back to another live stream as we get closer to the start of the AFLW round 3 and we get deeper, I guess, into the AFLW season. I hope all of you guys are having a decent week so far and are close to finalizing your trade as we get close to the team list dropping in about 45 to 50 minutes time. So I want to just first put a sort of first question out. What are your trades and sort of thoughts behind where your early upgrades are going to go? Because I know especially those who have gotten a sneak peek at my team reveal that video went live in the last hour and a half or so, you would have seen sort of my thoughts around upgrading and where I'm going and sort of prioritizing cash generation, because we know that the rookies get thinner and thinner. We know that across the AFL season, and the same can be said about the women's. So I just want to know where you're sort of prioritizing at the moment. Are you prioritizing getting those forwards in? Are you prioritizing getting the cash generation going? And what are you sort of doing as well? So let's jump into this here. I believe this is the one here. You'll see that we will go through this when teams are dropped at 6:20 or so tonight. We will see the teams drop, and we already know some debutant, so I will try and pick them up from my from Twitter and try and get them so I can show you guys. But anyway, let's jump into it. So Desktop says here, girlfriend is equal fifth. Well, we can probably actually look at the rankings here. Where is the rankings? I'm guessing it's probably going to be one of these three. I'm guessing, let's see, I'd hazard a guess, Desktop, that it might be Tess, just off the basis of some of the names here. And that's already a pretty stacked team. I'm not going to lie, getting in the... I mean, it's not too bad of a team. Yeah, you've got Spirulson there, and then also Two Goods as well there, Sita. So let's actually double check this, and we'll go here. That's a very good side. Just looking at it, obvious areas of weakness are the Harris and McLaughlin combo, and then the cash gen off the bench is as you would sort of expect, I would say. But yeah, that's a strong side. I would say that she's probably doing the Harris to McGrath swap this week, I'd have a guess, Desktop, just because that seems like an easy avenue to get to Indy Strom that we all want to get to. Is it Indy or no? Sorry, Mimstrom, not Indy. She has Indy already, but going to get to Mimstrom, she has 4 out of the 5 midfielders that you need. And then the bench, the back line, that is just Ott and Wrench up, and she's almost done. And then the forward line is just McLaughlin and Two Good up, and she's done. So she only really needs 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a 5 upgrade, 6 upgrades left, probably you would expect, maybe 7. And those upgrades can come thick and fast, because if you think about it, McLaughlin... a couple of these upgrades are just 200k upgrades, and by the time that you get sort of some of these rookies off the bench, they'll have 450k or so saved up, so you can really splash there on that. But that is a heck of a team there, and probably an upgrade ahead of me, I'd say, already. Question from Lee here: do you think Riddell is worth it over Gardner? I'm guessing that is not Garner. Or save the 100k? Yes, that would be. I'm right in saying that is Gardner that you're saying rather than Garner, because you're one letter off of each of those names, and they kind of make a difference. But going off of that's Gardner that you're mentioning. And I think for me, and this is personally just because I support Sydney, I'd rather have full support of Sydney and just be able to go, I want Gardner, I want Ham, I want this Swans player to do well, like Zippy Fish. I want just all the Swans players to do well, rather than being like, I want to support Sydney and I want them to win, but like I do want Gardner to not do. I think for my own sanity, I want that. So that's why. That's why I would rather Gardner in the side, to be honest with you, as I just switch this back to my own side here. And then we've got, but I can understand if you're a North supporter, if general, you might want the Riddell play because she has outscored everyone pretty much bar Garner and bar Garner and Marinoff for the last like 2 years or something. If you look at total averages. Gorm Mad says, I got rid of Gardner last week. That's a shocker of a mistake, but it can happen. I wouldn't be so shocked if Rowbottom goes 120 this week and I'm sitting there going, well, that sucks. But at the current trend, she just doesn't look good for those sort of attributes of what you want in AFLW. Then went Barnett to Harris. If I went Barnett to Harris, would you go from Georgie's Prasparkas to Gardner or Fish to Hull? I think Fish has so much run to run. I still think she's got over 200k to run here. I don't know exactly what her break even is, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's in like the 40s or 30s. And if she's in the 30s or 40s and she goes 90 again, she's making another 150, 170k. So I wouldn't be shocked if Fish has so much more cash to run that I think you can run her up to 1 million, 1.1 if she's going to go 90s for the next 2 weeks. And that would be kind of crazy. That would be just a top-up upgrade to get to a Riddell or a Garner or someone like that. Like Fish has done so much of the work here by going bang, bang in terms of back-to-back 90s that it's basically made up such a big gap there. But yeah, that her efforts here have been kind of huge, not going to lie, and to make cash gen rather simple because she's already made 120 on most of what the rookies were making last year. This is like a Nanscorn type of effort from her rookie year, if my memory serves me right, when she just went bang, bang. And Goering did it last year as well, I want to say. So yeah, if we go to Nanscorn, you'll see what she did in her second year. Her first year back on the list at Essendon. You can see 11 games, 82. She just went absolutely nuts. She went 68-49 and then went 85-48. But you can kind of see she warmed into it and then just went on an absolute tear once everyone had kind of traded her out. And that was the way she ended the season. I think this was what she ended the season on: 95, 93, 122, 88, 106, as she just started tackling everything she could see. What does she have? That's 20, 30, 54 tackles in the last 5 games is a ridiculous amount for a rookie priced at min price. She was 300k at the time. So yeah, that would have been, you can just see how the rookies can gain cash so quickly. So that's why I'm really like, if I can get the rookies right here, I can gain a lot of cash. Corey, would you field Wrench or O'Shea this week? Wrench has the West Coast matchup. West Coast obviously have Wrench has the St Kilda matchup. St Kilda obviously have the West Coast matchup, but I know you're talking about North Melbourne, who North Melbourne has Walliup, and that is Fremantle. That's going to be a rather tough matchup. I say tough. They're still going to beat them by like 40 points, but that's going to be the toughest matchup for the likes of North Melbourne on this whole, this whole year, or one of the tougher ones. So maybe this is the week to field Wrench because O'Shea's done 250s or so scores. Let me just check. O'Shea's averaging 56.5, going up 102k. So she's actually not done that bad. She had a 71 against Port Adelaide. I'd probably say Wrench just because the role's going to be there, and the role for her, I think this 42 is a low game, and I think that she's probably going to be up there in the sort of 60 range for the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I'd say that, as well as Gorm Mad makes a really good point here that Carney could be back this week. So that could wreck both. That could wreck. I'm just going to put it out there. There's about 4 North Melbourne backmen that could players, defenders, that could absolutely be ruined by that Carney coming back. And I don't know which one it is going to be, but it's probably going to be someone. So we'll see who happens to sort of get stuffed out of Boyd, O'Shea, or Birch to be honest with you. One of them is probably not going to score well. Birch is averaging 53 for the year after a 55 and 51. So she's sort of going at what she's priced at. So you hazard a guess it's probably going to be an O'Shea or Boyd that gets stuffed up, not a Birch. So Ben asks here, is Patricios a good for one more week? I think so. I think just in my circumstance that I wanted to get fish on field. And so fish on field meant that Patricios was the one to go. So that's why she's going for me. It allows me also to take a chance on a Harris or something of that regard, which is a point of difference. But it also, if Harris goes off for like 2 weeks, like Harris has got a 30 break even or so. If Harris goes off for 2 weeks, even if she probably won't go 4 goals 4 because I think that's the best that she's ever kicked. But if she goes something of regards of like 2 or 3 goals, gets an 80, and then maybe another 80 because we know that they have quite a few gettable games. If we just go to the fixture as well here, we know I showed this as well in the round preview that Nam or Melbourne have quite a few gettable games. Collingwood are horrific. We know that. Their best key defender is Cronin and then also Butler. And we know that the likes of Melbourne have quite a few tall forwards, mainly Taylor Harris, but they also have Aiden Zanker, who is 183. She is humongous. And then you've got Taylor Harris, who is also pretty big from memory, 177. So they're going to be no match for them. And then you've also got the likes of Georgia Goal, who is 183 as well. So they are just going to be a humongous side, and someone's going to profit off that. And they're coming up against arguably the shortest defense in the league, in that of Collingwood. If we go over to Collingwood's most recent side here, and we click on that to show you how short they were. If we go to team lineups here, Cronin, their tallest defender at 178. There's two Collingwood players that Melbourne players, key forwards that are taller. Then you've got Butler at 174. She is 170, and she's a key defender. Then you have Tiny White, who isn't really that much of a defender, at 166. No match there. Atkinson, I believe, is 175 also. 174 for Maurice Atkinson. That's still 3 or 4 centimeters on the likes of Taylor Harris, but she might be one of the ones that has to go tall. And then you got Amber Shute as well. If we go here and look, she's 169. That's no match for Taylor Harris, who probably after height and arms and everything probably outreaches her by a good 3 or 4 inches, which is about 10 centimeters. So that's why there's that. And I don't think there's anyone in the defender line for them down back. You can see key defender Annie Lee, 169 centimeters. That's giving up 8 centimeters of height to the key forwards. So I just think that this could be an absolute bloodbath here, because they just do not have anyone that is the key defender. That's all that it is. Like, I'm just scrolling through here and seeing no one that is actually a key defender. So I'm really concerned about the likes of Collingwood this week, because if you look at the likes of GWS, Tiny Evans, 178 centimeters. She kicked 3 and looked unmatched in the air. So we could see a very similar thing for the likes of the Melbourne girls there. Thoughts on Brown to Boyd, Too Good to Woodland, and Schultz to McGrath? Brown to Boyd, that's a great switch there, because Brown isn't scoring that well from memory. If we go back through here, she was on the bench in this game. Let's just go through to this way and look at it. You can see that Brown scored a 19. You got to get rid of her this week, you would expect, as she is losing cash from memory. Let me just double check that I'm right in saying that. Yeah, she is losing cash, and there's no other Brown in the league playing, so it's got to be that one. So I would be trading her out to Boyd. That's good. Too Good to Woodland. That's an easy trade. And then Scholes to McGrath. That's another easy trade, I feel like, for you. So that's a good set of trades there. Already have Stone from the previous week. Yep, that's why you're doing well. If I had Stone instead of Bogue, then the trades would be a lot easier, I think, for me. But it is what it is there. Woodland or Harris. I think that's a rather easy trade. I hope that you meant Woodland or someone else, because Woodland over Harris every day of the week, just because the role's there. Harris's role is horrific, and she was lucky to get to 48, to be completely honest with you, if we look at Harris's. Oh, you mean that Harris, not the Havana Harris. Woodland or Taylor Harris, that's a slightly different conversation. I would still say Woodland because of the role. Taylor Harris is just basically, she's playing stinker side, so you hope that she can score really well, whereas Woodland is probably still going to go 70 to 80 points each and every game. Field Zippy Fish or over Bowers or Prasparkas. I wouldn't field her over any of them, to be honest with you, because Prasparkas will do just fine. Bowers is doing just fine, and Hoare, I think, is building into the season. And we've seen Kate Hoare in the back last year, particularly when she was a forward, if my memory serves me correct. She did absolute wonders. So let me just double check this for you. She averaged 85 last year, and she's had games of 105, 142. I remember that game. That was a freakish game, the 142 that she scored, where she had 8 marks, 6 tackles, 5 goals, 2, and 23 touches. That was the most outlandish game. I'm pretty sure that was also back when the points, when they had smaller game in terms of the amount of game time there. So yeah, she's been freakish before. So I would probably go and just keep Zippy Fish on the bench for another week. Which is better, cash grab, Bowers to Hoare or Goldsworthy to Harris? Neither. I wouldn't be doing either. Bowers has a better role than Hoare from what I've seen. If we look at it, I mean, similar role, but similar. Like, Bowers is going to most likely be a top liner, more so than both of the players that you named as potential trade outs are going to be closer to a top of the line than the player that you're bringing in. And with a 12-game season, it's very hard to almost finish a side or get close to or really be competing with that. So I'd rather go and go almost 2 rookies to a slightly mid-pricer than to go Bowers down or someone like that, because Bowers is making cash. She's doing what you need her to do. She's made, 100K in 2 weeks. That's perfectly fine. Prasparkas as well is doing perfectly fine. And then you have Goldsworthy. She's got Kuwana this week, which I don't know who exactly that is. Let me just double check who that is. Who have we got here? Kuwana is the Adelaide Crows. That's a tough matchup, but she'll do fine. She'll be near enough the top of the line for the forwards anyway. She's still averaging 85 points per game. Like, that's still top of the line. And so there's no point, I feel like, trading her out and trading her back in for a little bit of cash, to be honest with you. Do you think Caitlin Gould will ruck with Allen out? That could be interesting. Let me just check this. I thought 18K short. That'll be interesting what they do with this. If we go to Adelaide and then the rucks for Kuwana, they don't have a secondary ruck, it doesn't look like. So they could go with her. If we go to the player summary here and we go to AFLW and then we go to ruck contests, we'll see what they do with it, because obviously Gould, Hatchard, Marinoff, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Caitlin Gould is probably the one that has to, which potentially that makes her less of an option. I might have to just double check this, because if we just go to Caitlin Gould here and look at when she's had big ruck time, 56, 58, if we go any time there, she's actually had to ruck. 33% ruck contest for a 57, 100% ruck contest for 97. Ooh, here we go. That's interesting. She's playing GWS. She's probably going to do well. This is interesting. Basically, look at her full season 7 average is what she's going to close enough average. She averaged 70 her top as a ruck. That's interesting. Yeah, that definitely is interesting. She might be one to look at. I don't know how long is Allen out for. That's something I need to look at and just check, because I didn't see it in the injury list or anything. So I might have to check some other things to double check quad 1 to 2 weeks. Missed that. Is that going to be a play though, or are you just going to get called up in? Like Allen could be back next week, and then you're like, oh, that's that, and sort of. So yeah, that's not the greatest thing. But yeah, that's Allen out could be interesting, but I don't think it's going to have a long-term effect. Worth trading out Havana Harris this week. I think if you can get Havana Harris is the defender, not the right. What's the? It's just, yeah, that 1 second here. Let me just double check this because Jess Allen's the right. So it's Sarah Allen, the defender out. That makes it null and void. I was going to say, I thought I missed something because wasn't Sarah Allen the one that was the late out, Corey? Wasn't she the late out from round 2 that caused a lot of people to have their loopholes stuffed over or something of that regard? So yeah, that's an honest mistake by all of us there, between the Allen girls there. So that's not an option now for Gould, I don't think. Even though Gould will probably still score 60, it was just with that role, you're probably looking at some 70, about 10 more higher in terms of average, and some games where she just goes a little bit more. But yeah, luckily that is not the case, so we don't have to think about it. Yeah, back to this. Worth trading out Havana Harris. I think if you can get Harris to the likes of, if you can get her to McGrath, then I would be doing that. But, and I think you can, because isn't Harris 660? 661. So you can do that, you would expect. So yeah, if you can get her to McGrath, then I'd be doing that because McGrath looks pretty good and looks set this week to do well. I'm just taking a flyer on someone that I think could actually genuinely, in Harris, add 70 or so points on Tonin, who went for 40, probably could go 50 odd in games, but yeah, won't go much for that. For Scholes, I wouldn't do it for Scholes. I would do it for the likes of McGrath, because McGrath is going to have the 30 or 40 less break even than Scholes, and it's 200k cheaper. So that's why I'd be doing it, because she's in 2 weeks' time, McGrath's going to be like 800, 900k. I'm doing Petrukas down, getting Fish on field, row bottom to Riddell, too good to Woodland. Yep, that looked good. I wish I could do that. I just miss out on the likes of Stone by like 60k or so. That's basically the problem. I think it's 58k that I missed her out on. Adelaide looked good in last quarter with the old trio of Marinoff, Hatchard, and Ponta in the centre. They left Tonin out of the centre. I don't think Tonin was playing on ball. Was she? Who was playing off ball in the last quarter? Because, yeah, you can see that Tonin has had no CBAs in her career. She's a halfback flanker with a big booming kick. I forget who's in the CBA rotation for Adelaide. Let me just double check, because I know that they're missing that. There's one not in there. As you can see, you've got Ponta, Hatchard, Allen, and Marinoff there as the main CBA hunters. That's been the same for like the last couple of years. If we go back here, you'll see as well, Randall not getting as many CBAs is a little bit interesting. But you still see Ponta. So it will be interesting to see what they do with Randall, whether they just play her up forward, down back, etc. But yeah, Ponta's getting the CBAs and basically running forward like she always has done. It's just a slight role change for the likes of Randall not being in the CBAs. And then that is pretty much it for the, I guess, questions or people's trades at the moment here. We got Zach here with going row bottom to Hoare, too good to Woodland, and Harris to McGrath. The thing about Hoare is that we just saw that when she has full CBAs, she only goes and scores like 85. So 215k left in the bank. What is Hoare even priced at? Because Hoare 215k, you really can't get anyone there, can you? Because that's sort of the in the middle of nowhere price point, because there's basically no one in that price point where you can jump on them and really look at them. because just looking here, if we look at price, you basically can get from, I'm guessing, about McCarthy, Prasparkas, people are jumping off of Rowbottom. Zach, do you have, I want to ask a question. Do you have Stone yet? Because if you have Stone or you don't have Stone, I would rather you get Woodland, turn Woodland into Stone, because that's going to be about 10, 15 points, maybe maximum, I think, in genuine case, because they have similar role. But if you can go down to a Stone from a Woodland, then you would open up 350 more thousand, and 350,000 on the likes of Hall could get you up to a Gardner, the Riddells, the Gardners almost, in a sense, because Stone's 491. I would be grabbing Stone then if you don't have her, because that Hawes, if we look at Hawes, and this is just general mathematics almost in a way. If we look at her average, her best average for a year is 84.85. And we know, and we said that I'm predicting that Stone goes within 10 or 15 of the likes of Woodland. Now, Stone's priced about 30 below Woodland at this point in time. She's about 360k, so that's 30 below. So that means she'll gain up 15 points of value if she goes at 15 below or so. So you're getting 15 points more of value going Stone over the likes of a Woodland. And then for the point scoring case scenario, you've got Gardner, who you can see here, 114, 115, 101, 124. She's going at least 15 points better. And if we actually look at it in terms of, if you take out some of her injured games, I think, maybe not. But if you take out some of her injured games here where she was playing injured to end the season off, then that average more like 105, 110. So, that's more likely to be that she's going to average 110. I foolishly thought that she wouldn't. But yeah, she's back to her best. So there's more likely for you to have 25 points or so of value in terms of the likes of Gardner. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Is Pontra a look? No, because she basically has the CBA and runs forward. She's a fake midfielder almost in a way. So I would say no. If I can probably bring up where I get the break evens from, or at least look at the break evens from, because that's something that's definitely been asked a couple times. So I'm just going to see if I can bring up where I get the break evens from. Let me just see if I can bring it up for you guys. Let's just see here if I can exactly find it. I cannot exactly find it, but I know someone did ask about it as well beforehand. So I know that it's in one of these videos where exactly to find them. So I'm just trying to find that post about it, to be honest with you, but I can't exactly find the post. So let me just see if I can look through some things about it. So let me just see. But anyway, on another front there, because I want to post it in the chat below. Yep, we went through all that. Benjamin here, thoughts on Too Good to Woodland. Yep. Scholes to McGrath. Yep. And then Rowbottom to Harris Stones. Give me cash spare for next week. Well, you're effectively, yeah. I'm wondering here, because are you able to go effectively Too Good to Stone, and then Scholes to McGrath's 200k, and that covers off the Too Good to Woodland. So I'm guessing you can't get Rowbottom up to anyone of interest there. I'm guessing you fall short. You fall into that 1.2 million bracket that you have. So I'm guessing you're going to have like 700k next week or something to spend or so. Yeah, I would tick it off and probably go Stone just because of the rollout. I think Stone's much more of a must-have than the likes of Harris there. So there's that. I'm just still seeing if I can find this for you, but I can't seem to find the break even exactly, the exact comment that I was looking for, to be honest with you, which kind of sucks because I wanted to see if I could grab it for you guys, but I cannot seem to find it exactly. So anyway, moving on. Then we got here, will be interesting if Geelong bring Thorn back, or maybe to tag on Gardner like she did Riddell. That'll certainly be interesting. We'll see when teams come out in 20 or so minutes time. I doubt that that's probably going to happen, given that, we'll see what happens. But I don't think they have the worst injury list, the likes of Geelong, which could, let me just double check this. They actually do have a little bit of an annoying injury list, but I don't think they added anyone to that injury list over the last week that was noteworthy. So I don't know if she just gets left out on merit, because if you look at the game that they had on the weekend that they played the Adelaide Crows, and their midfield was a pretty decent one. They had Prespakis, McDonald, Morrison, and then also off the bench, they would have had Kilpatrick maybe would have been the fourth midfielder, or are we looking at, Kilpatrick, maybe the fourth mid. Let me just look at the midfield times here and look at the CBAs for them to check who was the fourth midfielder, but I have a feeling Bella Smith as the fourth midfielder there. That's what it was, as well as the big three there in McDonald, Morrison, and Prespakis. So will be interesting to see what they do, but I have a feeling that they will keep her out, to be honest. Caleb here, Watson to Boyd, too good to Woodland, Butler to Stone. That doesn't look right. And I'm saying that because Watson to Boyd is about 450k. Too good to Woodland is spending about 250 of that K. So you have about 200k spare. What is Butler's price that you needed that much cash to get her out? She's about the same price. So I don't know why you've exactly gone Watson down. Watson's doing perfectly fine. She's averaging 68. She's near enough. Like, in the end, she'll be top of the line for the defenders. If we look at the defenders here and go to the all prices here and then go by by average points, you'll see that, as you can see, that's Cronin's here. Then you've got Paxman and Watson both at 68. But they're perfectly fine. You'll have Cordner will drop down. Georgie Stathis will have a bad game. She'll drop down. Heath will probably stay in and around that marker. But yeah. And then you've got Corey here saying doing Scholes to McGrath. Yeah, that seems like the obvious trade for people that don't have as many problems. Toonan to Stone, yep, and then too good to Woodland. I basically just have to hope that the likes of McGrath doesn't score well. And hope that she has a stinker, because that's the only way I'm going to get back into it, because I have to fix up other things. And Harris, I need her to go large basically to do well, but I understand people doing the Scholes to McGrath trade, because McGrath looked really, really good, even though it was against Essendon, who are shocking for rucks. Even though it was against them, she looked really good in the ruck contest there. I don't think we've had any debutantes named in the last couple of minutes whilst I've been on. So we will see how that goes there. And you see here, Sam, targeting a forward or defender premium next week. Who would you be looking at? I really like the chances of Heath to get the roll back. I really like the chance of Heath to drop hopefully a 70 or 80, doesn't get too far away from us. I don't know what exactly her break even is for Heath, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's around about the 60 marker, maybe 55. Then she goes up, say, another 40k she scores a 70, goes up another 40k to 890k, and we all go, well, she is a midfielder she's playing as a midfielder, has the role, and we've got her as a defender status that's bound to do well. like we talk about Montana Ham. She's effectively the Montana Ham, but as a defender classified player. So it's like, yeah, you got to grab her on. But I just want to see that role return because we know that it was kind of stifled a little bit in the in week 2. Kind of stifled a little bit. You can see 71% CBAs down to 47. That is stifling it a little bit. And so, yeah, I expect her to get back to her best next week, or this week, I should say, and score a 75 or so. And then we all go, yep, that's what we want, because if she is a midfielder, we're going to want her. So that's why I'm looking at Heath. I think also there's quite a lot of these defenders that you can look at. Heath, Georgia Stafford, I think are great. Thomas, you know what you're getting. But I think with Heath, you could actually get more. So I think that's why I think she might be value. Swanson, you know what you're getting. Boyd is just a cheap one. Ellinger, you know what you're getting. So yeah, there's quite a few here that you just sort of know what you're going to get with them. They're pretty much priced at what they are. But I think Heath is the one that could actually genuinely be the one next week to, if you can scrounge together enough cash. Like for me, I've got 126k saved. I could go wrench, say a Tonin or a Bogue, etc., whoever's done, because one of them is going to be cooked. One of those two, along with potentially another player, potentially another upgrade, or even just going OT as well, and get them all up to the likes of Heath, as well as 2 rookies, which that in the end might be the best option. That would get me basically rookie-less, except for, well, Stone would be the only rookie that I'd have. And then it'd just be sort of upgrading the mid prices at that point, I think, in the season. And then you've got Harris versus Azanka. And so that is an interesting debate. That's one that I've definitely had. I could see going either way with that. Zanka has, I think Zanka is going to struggle a little bit more than Harris to score over the course of the season. So that's why I've gone Harris. But I understand the viewpoint of going with the likes of Azanka. They're very, very 50-50 for me. I also want to go with just Harris is a little bit more cash. And I also think Harris will have the lower break even because of the split there of her scoring and her being lower in terms of price point. Would you prefer a Schultz to McGrath trade instead of a Watson to Boyd? Yeah, Schultz to McGrath trade makes a lot more sense. Boyd could easily pop out a 20, and then you're suddenly like, well, I just traded out of a known 65 to 75 scorer for a 20. Whereas McGrath, her role basically means, and the team she's coming up against, that I can't see her dropping less than sort of a 50, which is still going to start generating cash, as I believe she's got a 30 break even. Is it worth making 2 trades and leaving one up your sleeve in case of a late injury news? I wouldn't say at this point of the year, to be honest with you. And a lot of the time you will need that third trade to make the money work, just with how you're maneuvering around stuff. Like for me, I needed to make all 3 trades at once because I needed the cash, because there wasn't enough cash unless I was to hold the row bottom to Gardner switch. There wasn't enough cash to do these other moves. I don't think so. Because yeah, that's the way it was. And I needed the extra cash there to be able to make those maneuvers. And then you've got here, didn't Hoare take over Heath's time before Purcell got hurt? Yep, Purcell got hurt. If we look at their CBAs for the likes of Melbourne, if we look at them, you'll see exactly why I think she'll bounce back. Hanks is fine. Purcell got hurt, and then also you had someone else get hurt. If we look at the injury list for Melbourne, you had Purcell get hurt, and also Blathan Mackin, who wasn't in the CBA rotation. But if we look at Purcell, 42%, but she was at 79%. So yeah, I just see that that she's going to actually have a pretty good role there. McNamara in the CBAs as well. But if we look back here and just see what was Mackin was in here for 4%. She had 1 game in. So not that much of a change there, to be honest with you, but a little change there for the Melbourne Demons, but I want to watch this week to see if Heath's role is a definite. Eloise Jones from Gone Mad here. Let's look at her here. So let's check a forward from Adelaide here. Get rid of that stuff there. 736K, has gone 54 and 80 and kicked 2 goals against Geelong. I just don't see her standing up long term. To be honest with you, I don't see her being the forward that stands up long term, and that's why probably a no from me. Maybe she's done it in the past, but I don't exactly know. Let me just double check this here. There we go. If we look at her in the past, she has a highest of a 58 and max score of an 88. So that 98, then 88, then 80. It looks to be her max scores. 98, 98, 80, 84, etc. So she doesn't have too many good scores. Had one good score where she kicked 4 goals last year, and then a 98 as well. But aside from that, isn't getting CBAs, which is quite hard to score off, to be honest with you. So I would say no to that. Standard a must trade, I would say so. She's gone 44-26. The role looks absolutely horrendous. Where am I getting the break evens? They're not exactly how do I say it? They're not exactly correct, but the closest that we have is on a Discord, and it is the Fantasy Take TV Discord. And I want to just see if I can, in 1 second here, just do something of this regard here. You might lose me for a second in terms of volume. Doesn't look like it, so that's good. And then I just want to grab up and see if I can grab up this, I guess, the Discord for you, the link to it at least. Can't seem to grab it up there, so let's see if I can grab it up. Guys, do this here and grab this up here and open copy link address here, and let's see if this works for you guys here. 1 second. That is an awfully large link there. So let me just delete that and retry this for you guys so that you guys can grab it up here. Let's see. There, and then I go over and drop this one in the there we go. That should be hopefully the link for you guys to jump on the FTTV Discord so that you guys can get close enough to the break evens. They're not exactly a fine science, and or exactly I should say. And also the fact is that they weren't posted in full this week. There was sort of, I had to be searching in the Discord to see if I could find it exactly. So it wasn't exactly the best, but some players, the main players, sort of trade targets, were named this week for their break evens, or you knew roughly what they were. So yeah, that is where I was grabbing up the info from. And back to this, I guess we do have 6 minutes to go before we do get the team list. It will be I am intrigued about the Melbourne midfield the most to see where Heath is projected to play. I'm also intrigued about the Hawthorn midfield to see where Stone is going to play. And then I think outside of that, there isn't too much to really not worry me or anything, because we know Conan's probably going to be named somewhere, changed to somewhere else. We know team lists are what they are in the end. But yeah, I don't think there will be too many shocks in this team list, and I don't think I've missed any real debuts, to be honest with you, that are that have been named yet. I don't think from AFLW for this round. I think there's only been 2 or 3 that have been named so far. A couple for West Coast, and I believe O'Connell for the likes of Carlton. Do you think Cos is a decent downgrade option because of the role? Not yet. She hasn't flicked that break even down enough for me to think that she's going to do really well. I think she might be next week, which could be the toning down, and you might save yourself 140K, and then you go potentially wrench down to another girl, another defender, because there's quite a few defenders this week, and then potentially go up at that point. That could be the avenue that you go. Or potentially there is a way in which you get, and this is outlandish to say this, potentially there's a way in which you go, for me, toning down to Cos after a week, you might gain 140K, 150K, and that might just give you enough catch next week, if someone like a McLaughlin or a Paxton fails, to go down, or potentially to get wrench up to someone as well. If I go Tonin and then someone else, maybe a ruck comes out of somewhere, or maybe Bogue and Tonin down to a forward that pops or something of that regard. We'll see how it goes. But she does have a decent role. It's just the scoring hasn't ticked over for her just yet. So the cash gen hasn't really ticked in or clicked in for her just yet. So that's why I think you can afford to wait another week with the likes of Cos there, to be honest with you. Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to put their trades in below here before we tick over to the likes of the I guess team list, I should say, team lineups? What do you think of De Harris, Vesio to Stone? Yep, and Boyd, Butler to Boyd. Yep, those are three really good trades. Yeah. That makes sense. I think you're almost upgrading on every single position, which is a really good one to do, and getting really quick cash gen, which is huge. You're potentially getting there's a big potential that's 400K worth of cash gen in a week if they all score relatively well, because I'm pretty sure Stone's break even is like 10, so there's a chance she goes up by 150, 200K. But Boyd's break even is 10, so there's a chance she goes up quite a lot. There's a chance, obviously, Stone's got a low break even, so she might go up by 150K, and then Harris could blow it out the water. I think she's got a 30 break even, but if she goes large and does what she did last week and goes 100 odd, then you're just going to make up so much cash. It's not even funny. If Harris goes 100 again, she'll make 200K. Like, there's no joke about that. And then we got here Gavin Magnin as a bench downgrade. She gave away 2 unselfish goals. If I just double check, 307K. Yeah, one to watch, because she only did a 29. So you'd like her to do a little bit more. But yeah, definitely one to watch, as wasn't she on debut? So yeah, she could grow and could honestly put another, she could score a couple of 40s and suddenly you're looking at her maybe 400K, 450. But yeah, she probably does need to be able to score all right, but obviously could easily get dropped because the North Melbourne side is absolutely stacked. And yeah, they have basically midfielders playing as small forwards because they're too good. They are so far away of the competition, it's not even funny. But yeah, let's see, what time are we at? We're at 6:19, so we still got another minute. And we will see the team list. I think there will be, as I said, the Melbourne and the Hawthorn midfielders, the most interesting. And I don't think there's many teams that have been knocked by injuries. Don't think we've seen any major debut news for AFLW. So I don't think that any of the sides will have a major debutant, to be honest with you. You've got, here we go. You've got, so you've got Courtney Lindgren in. So if I go here and bring this up for you guys here. You've got Courtney Lindgren and also Charlotte Riggs in. You've also got the likes of Eli Simons. And I just want to bring up Rookie Me as well to sort of show you the players here and see how they go in terms of their draft profiles and stuff like that. So Simons is a 2005 born ruck forward that averaged in her Vic Country, one game at Vic Country, 19, 4 marks, 3 tackles and a goal. And then for Coates Talent League, she averaged 17 touches, 1 mark, 11 hit outs, 6 tackles. So she's pretty good. That's a that's a potential Lucy Wales sidekick there. Butler, the captain, no, it doesn't really matter. And then just those two. And then also someone else was debuting as well, as we've just clicked over to the teams over there. So let's see what the teams look like for round 3. So you've got BT, Egan, Miller, Van Hoovel, Toogood all out. And then you've got Verbruge. Was she announced yesterday or something? Verbruge, Wicksteed, Dalloway, and Greaves. So Conti, McKenzie, Bacon still named on ball is interesting. We'll see how that develops, but that's a good sign for the likes of cause out. Talk about that sucks. But O'Dowd now solo ruck. That's interesting. But yeah, Richmond. I don't think anything crazy in these lineups, to be honest. Gayla's one that's probably just annoying with the timing of her run that she missed. That she missed there. Then we get to game GWS versus the Adelaide Crows. Jess Doyle in for cause she can part-time ruck, but that means that they're going to O'Dowd starting to get more fit. She started to get that trainer body out of the Gaelic football and into the football AFL footy season. So she'll ruck there. And that'll mean that Jess Allen's going to have an absolute tear there. And it also means Caitlin Gould's probably going to win all the secondary rucks when the ruck O'Dowd and Alla are on the bench, because the likes of Jess Doyle is like 100 and what I'm seeing the chat as well. Like the chat is basically, if my cursor is over here, the chat is almost where my face is for the in terms of looking over. So I'm looking at the team and also the chat at the same time, so I can see what is almost going on. And I have a feeling that we're going to get some crazy team lists. But one of the good things that I've seen as well here is Tonin is on the bench. So that's a really good thing that she's just playing. We need cash generation from her. So that's a good thing. And you can see halfback flank for Goodwin, not the best. And then we got here. Yes, ruin the McGrath pick. Ruin the McGrath pick. That's what we needed. I did perfectly fine. I'm happy about that the McGrath pick is basically dusted. I'm pretty sure if I just click over here quickly to the second for the likes of the McGrath pick is dusted and Bella dropped, which means good thing for Havana Harris potentially, but a great thing for Shoals, especially if they've gone to the likes of who was the ruck that they went first week? Whoever that was for Gold Coast. So we'll talk about that in a second. But Vesley and Stewart back in. Lambert, Smith, and Anderson named on ball. So you've got the likes of... Where is she? Where is the likes of Patricios named off half forward? But she's played off half forward apparently for like 2 weeks, which is not true. So that's a good thing there for those owners. But a worrying sign that there's just more, I guess, players coming back. So, and then you've also got Leclerc coming in, which she will just take away a bulk of the ruck time for the likes of McGrath, which will probably suck because she splits it. If we just look at the CBA, well, not look at the CBAs, let's look at the ruck contest for the likes of West Coast in round 1. I know they had Wakefer, who didn't take too many, but you can see this Liz McGrath, and then Wakefer and Leclerc took 31%. So there's a chance that McGrath takes 35% of the ruck time there, which will just take away a lot of the scoring. Friswell in for O'Rourke, and then you've seen the likes of Zippy Fish named on a wing. Oh, wow, she's named on a wing. McAvoy's going to play wing. Zippy Fish will be down back. That's just them just chucking names on a team sheet. Look at the players they've named in the middle, just for the sake of it. They've named Montana Ham half forward, and Chloe Malloy and Hurley half forward, and put Tanya Kennedy and Cynthia Hamilton on ball. Cynthia Hamilton's not going to play on ball. Let me just put it out there. I don't expect Cynthia Hamilton to play too much on ball, because if we look at the CBAs for Sydney, she might have not even got a single CBA in this year. She's gotten 13% and 0%. They are not going to play her on ball, so don't even worry about the Sydney. The Sydney team sheet is just, let's just chuck some names out and have some fun. But yeah, I don't expect the likes of Sydney to play Cynthia Hamilton on ball. And so I'm not. So Zippy Fish will be fine completely. And Geelong haven't even named a tagger, which is perfect there. That's exactly what we wanted. On to the likes of Gold Coast. They've got Gregory back in and also DePoy. So that might ruin the likes of Harris a little bit because they've got so many people that can ruck before Harris. So that must mean that the likes of Gregory in there and then Borg in for Stewart. So yeah, that's interesting. Put Woodland forward pocket. Yeah. They're going to put. Let's just do the double check here. Let's go to Port Adelaide. Let's go to the CBAs. They have put Maloney, who had 0% CBA, 79 the week before. Head 61. She basically took the CBAs from Maloney. And then you had Kirsty Lamb, 44%. If we go to the team list here, Kirsty Lamb, Maloney, and Dowrick, heads named in the on the bench. Woodland named at half forward. What was she named last week? Probably half forward. But yeah, I don't expect that to be the case. Then we get to the Bulldogs. You got Kimber out injured, so that means that that the likes of Boyd is the only rookie. I haven't seen the North Melbourne squad, but I think Boyd's still in there, just from what I've seen on the chat. And then Eli Simons and Jenna Richardson in for Cox and Vukic. If we go to Hawthorn, you'll see Stone named on ball. That is exactly what we wanted to see. And I can't really see anyone else that's going to take too much time off her. So that's a good thing to see there. I just want to also see the CBAs for them last year, because if we look at them, you'll see Fleming was the one. It was Richardson's off halfback. So yeah, that's a good thing. Could also slow down the likes of, if we look at it, that could slow down. If I'm right in saying that Richardson is a defender, yep, that could slow down the likes of the Lucas Rod, who just went nuts in the second half. But yeah, that's it for that game. And then you have here Ruby Schleicher injured for Collingwood. And then Mackin, Goldrick, and Purcell all injured. What the hell? This is interesting. This is a watch. Hanks, Centra, Can, Heath, Benucci, Hoare named on ball, Barnett and Pearce. That's a big one. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I've just seen here Taylor Harris is nominally lined up on Tani White. Taylor Harris, we know, is 178. Tani White, 160. If she gets the third defender, she is going to absolutely cook. So they can't do that. They have to put Maurice Atkinson on her for the sake of the sanity of that. Because if Tani White is on Taylor Harris, Harris might kick 7. That's how bad it might be. She might kick 6 or 7. So, yeah, they can't do that. But Heath named on ball, that's kind of what we wanted to see. Obviously, this team will change because this is the Sunday game, because they have extended benches. So we expect to see kind of 4 of these girls. Is it drop out? Maybe it's 3. Don't know exactly how many they drop out. Is it 5 on the bench? They have 5 fully on the bench. So, yeah, we could see a couple of these girls drop out. Should be 3. But that is interesting. Pisano named, but she probably dropped out for the likes of Melbourne. But we'll see about that. And Melbourne's just one that I'm intrigued to see what the Heath role is come game day. Then for the likes of the Kangaroos, if we go here, I want to see is Boyd named on field. Boyd is named on field. That's a good start, I guess. I do think that Gavin Mangine is going to be dropped. O'Loughlin's not going to be dropped. So that will be actually interesting to see who they drop. You've got, I think they'll drop the bottom 3 here, Slocum, Hetherington, and Gavin Magnanin. Is it? Because they've got Bruton and, so yeah, I think Mangine and Hetherington are going to be dropped out of the side from what it was last week. So that'll be interesting, but Boyd looks to have held her spot there. And then for the likes of Fremantle, just Brazel being injured, and I think the rest are going to stay rather the same. And then for Brisbane against Carlton, this will be interesting to see how the team lists go. From a Brisbane perspective, I don't expect any changes, to be honest with you. Long, Heslop, and Crozier come in, and I think they go straight back out when team lists are finalised for the starting 23. And then for Carlton's sake, Mia Austin is omitted. Hill, Mackay, Shearer, and then you've got Vesio named in the back line alongside Cordner and Scholes. And then you've got Aaron Fitzpatrick named off the half forward line for Carlton. And yeah, I just think that probably Field's probably going to get dropped out. We know O'Connell is playing, but Field, Torpey, and Reedy are probably going to be the ones that just get dropped out. And that's simply that. And so we'll see how the rookies go. But yeah, team sheets this week have been kind of crazy. Not too outlandish. Not many like injured outs that we didn't expect or major ones. We knew about Schleicher. We knew about Mathen. We knew about Purcell. Did we know about Goldrick? Did we? Goldrick wasn't named here, so that's interesting that she's injured. But yeah, you can see here not many injuries. Just a lot of omitted. Kimber being injured, don't think I remember seeing that on the team list here, was it? Nope. So she got injured late. Will be interesting to see what the injury was for that. Omitted. That is a big omission there. Lauren Bella. She was a really premier ruck. So for her to be omitted, that is kind of crazy. But that just means that Scholes, if we look at and I'm going to do this and show you what I'm sort of mentioning here about this. If we look at the ruck contests and then we go over to Gold Coast, then we go over to the likes of Gregory, 29% hit out rate. And she is coming up basically as a solo. Well, she does have the likes of Darcy Davies, but she's coming up against Port Adelaide's Scholes, who has a hit out rate of 53%. So if that is where are they even playing at that? Please tell me it's going to bucket down. Please tell me in Adelaide it's going to bucket down on the Saturday night. Adelaide weather. Saturday is not raining. Figures. That sucks. Hopefully that turns around because every other day has some slight rain in it, especially tomorrow for them. So hopefully that transitions into Saturday and then we get a wet one here, because if we get a wet one with increased ruck contest, that could be really, really awfully good for Scholes, who's basically playing a VFL quality ruck. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if she does really well there. If we look at Gold Coast defenders as well, just looking quickly here at their heights, Gurban's pretty tall. Wilson's a pretty good defender. 177, so she's pretty tall. McLaughlin's tiny. Bersha, another pretty tall defender, if I remember, 174. That's decent height. And then you got Mauer, who I'm pretty sure is 169, so smaller. And then they've got, I don't think many on the bench. Is Stanton a defender from memory? No, forward. So, and Salisbury, I don't think is a defender. Another midfielder. So no, is Fitzpatrick must be then. Surely if they key defender 184 there, you go, there's the tall one, Fitzpatrick. So yeah, that's maybe not the best for Scholes that they've got all those key defenders, but honestly, they've got nothing in terms of the ruck that I think that Scholes will just do really well. So yeah, I expect to see Scholes do pretty well, to be honest with you there. And then would you recommend Wrench over O'Shea? Oh, I didn't even look at the West Coast. Did I miss the West Coast matchup or something? Franklin, Durannon, Wrench, and Painter. Okay. I thought team lists were all right until what the heck? Ella Roberts full forward. It's not going to happen, but like it's nice to know that they put Wrench at on ball. I'm still probably going to go the likes of I still think Ott does pretty well. I don't think West Coast are that hard of a ruck matchup. If we go to the ruck contest for the likes of West Coast, they've played Gold Coast, who I mean Gregory had a stinker, but Gregory isn't that good. So they had Gold Coast there. And then they also had the likes of Essendon, and we know Essendon, they had pretty good ruck scoring out of Van pretty sure. Let me just double check that I'm right and that I'm not saying incorrect stuff. Let me double check that. That Dyke went and scored a 91 on 3 hitouts. And then you also had Murphy score a 26. And then that was that. I want to see who took the ruck contest for the likes of Essendon. You had Murphy take most of them, Dyke take a little, Too Good take some, and Alexander take some as well. So that, there we go. Then we have Sam asking who's the best forward rookie after Stone. Honestly, let me just check who's actually, have they updated this in terms of who's playing? Let me see. They have, it looks like. So we go forwards, 300Kers. Martin's probably up there. I would say Martin is probably the next best because the likes of Dooley's on the extended bench. We expect her to front up, but still extended bench. If we go here, Dooley, Hodder, Heslop, Hartel, Dooley, Davidson, and Crozier. That could be an interesting bench to try and get through, but she might survive that, but she might not. So I would still say the likes of Martin is the best. And then obviously we know Cole's got dropped. Gavin Magnin is probably going to get dropped. Stanton, 371K, wouldn't touch that. 400K is obviously you've got Stone. Thorn dropped. Well, Thorn is dropped. Pisano, long extended bench. And outside of that, maybe Ruby Rocks. But yeah, I don't think so there. So yeah, I would say that. Ruck recommendations about 850K. Honestly, could be time to just trade in Schultz. Don't think any of the rookie rucks are going to score well. I think that Dunlop doesn't have a capacity to score. Murphy's Tog is horrific. McGrath's not a solo. And who else? Havana Harris isn't a natural ruck. So her scoring is very, very volatile as a key forward. So I would say that Scholes is almost the best case scenario. You can't get into the ruck range that really matters. Because, yeah, you can see here the rucks below that aren't really that good unless you wanted to take a flyer on O'Dowd scoring well because she's got solo ruck roll back and she was only rucking about 30% in the first game. Also, yeah, she will score better, but will she score enough is the big question. But you can just see the rucks for GWS don't particularly score well there. So that is that. And then best mid rookie for Ben to round this out. Let's go here and grab down 300K range. Patterson scored well, so she could, but I don't think her genuine rookie scoring is too good there for Lily Patterson. If I remember correctly, it wasn't something that stood out to me when I looked at her stats there. Let me just double check this for you guys. Let's look at her stats here if it will load. And analysis here. Then we go down and we see for the Waffle, 23 touches, 3 marks, 4 tackles. Pretty decent effort there. She had 12 disposals, 3 marks, 3 tackles. And then for Western Australia, 1 game, 21 touch. She's actually not the best. Patterson's numbers do stack up relatively well at Waffle level. So I'd actually say that she isn't the worst option to go. I would say she's probably the best mid-rookie to go for, to be honest, out of that lot. Williamson, 41. Don't think she'll score well. Kilpatrick, so you're probably looking in the 400K range now. If anyone to challenge Patterson, and I don't think there is. Dalglish, no. Mahoney, no. O'Hare's had a stinker of a game, so break-even's not on her side. Nope. Don't think there's anyone, to be honest with you. 500K range. Gavalis has done pretty well. Posty, if you can still get to her, is still going to make a lot of cash, as I think her role's pretty decent in there. So, yeah, there's that on that one. Let me just check the CBAs for Western Bulldogs, because I'm pretty sure Posty had 50 and then 64% or something of that regard. 57 and 42. So the role's still there. Georgia Stathers played tagging role. So expect that to drop, and Carruthers and Posty to pick up some time there. So I think that that's fine. And yeah, the Harris matchup, that was funny. That's not going to happen. And the Collingwood coach should be sacked if that is the case. If my memory serves me correct that they're playing Collingwood. They are. So yeah, if that is the case and Collingwood do name a Tiny White on her, then the Collingwood coach is going to get sacked because that is a horrific matchup. But Anyway, it is 6:40 now. I think this is a good place to end the live stream for Thursday. Hope I helped you guys out get your trades finalized before the Friday 7:15 start of the round with the dream time game between Richmond and Essendon. And I will see you guys probably back on a Sunday also to go through, I guess, the team review for AFLW Fantasy Round 3. So I will see you guys then. Bye, guys.